Welcome, everyone. Tonight, I'm so glad everybody's here. I'm really excited about this event tonight. I'm so excited about our guest, David Zahl. This is what we're calling the Arts and Culture series here at the Cathedral Church of the Advent. And the intent of this series is just to sort of explore common ground between the culture at large and the church, doing that primarily through talking about art, broadly speaking. And tonight that has to do with rock and roll, or music more generally. If we haven't met yet, my name's Matt Schneider. I'm one of the canons at the Advent. And to my right here is Gil Kracke, who's also on staff. He's our Director of Adult Education. He's also a licensed counselor. And our guest is David Zahl, who's the author of this book. If you want to clap, that's fine. A Mess of Help from the Crucified Soul of Rock and Roll. And he's also the director of Mockingbird Ministries. And the Advent has a strong relationship with that ministry. And I'll just say that actually Mockingbird really is an influence for this series that we are doing. I mean, Mockingbird is a sort of early adopter of connecting cultural topics with the Christian faith. So thank you, David, for influencing what we're doing here tonight. But why don't we get started? And David, who is David Zahl? And by the way, so many people have asked me, does he go by David or Dave? And I've always just called you Dave, and I've never asked you if that's D or DZ, right?
Very cryptic. Very cool. There's no correct answer to that question, actually.
Okay.
So my mom calls me David, and therefore I think Birmingham knows me as David. But high school, I've always been called Zahl, actually. Very rolls off the tongue. I guess it's a good sort of one-syllable last name. But Dave is what my wife calls me. So I think that's probably the one to go with. Right? That's the right answer.
I mean, you just mentioned this. You have a relationship with Birmingham and the Advent. Do you want to just mention that, say a little bit?
Sure. As some of you know, my father served as the dean of the Advent for 10 years. I was in high school away at boarding school for part of it, and then at college for other parts of it. But I got to be here during the summers and got to know people, and really come to appreciate Birmingham as kind of a home away from home. And what's funny is reading through the book again on my way down here, I realized how much of the autobiographical sections actually occurred at record stores in Birmingham. So, there are no record stores in Birmingham left, I don't think. At least not the ones I used to go to.
They're all in 5 Points.
Charlemagne Records is still there? Yeah. I knew they would be the last one standing. But, oh, fantastic. What do I know? But I would say a lot of my formative experiences were like babysitting and lifeguarding, using that money to go buy records. So that was like, and then it all kind of came out in the wash, I guess, with this. I knew I wanted to write at length here, having written on a website for a long time. I knew I wanted to put out something full length. And when I was looking back at everything I posted for Mockingbird and various other publications over the years, the stuff that I felt most connected to, or that had gotten the best writing out of me, the best prose, and clearly where the heart was almost always articles about music. And so I took all these essays that I'd written for Mockingbird, basically, and then I rewrote them, and I completely changed them and tried to weave some threads through. But what I realized is what I ended up sort of writing as much a memoir as a taste biography, as you could put it that way, a spiritual. My religious faith is weaved throughout in a way that I felt natural to me, but I wanted to write the book that I'd been wanting to read for a long time. And so I hadn't found many books that, most books about rock and roll completely ignore what the person's actually trying to say, the musician. They usually talk about albums and, personal life stuff. But in terms of what are they actually trying to convey, what is their message, I didn't get much of that from most of those books. But mainly, I wanted to write about these particular characters because they resonated with me personally. And I found that the language of my inner life was the language of pop culture and the language of rock and roll specifically. So in order to write about myself, in order to write about the things that matter to me, I had to use this language. If I didn't use it, I would be making something up.